Well, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for coming. I'm so excited to have so many of you that could be here show up, and thank you also for the people who signed up who are watching this later or may have just found the video somewhere from a friend or something like that. So this is the event called What is Stella's Stars? And I'm Amy Williams. I am absolutely delighted to have everybody here and have the opportunity to share this story with you. Just welcome, 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 welcome. And as we go, if I need to, we'll mute people, unmute people as we must. So after I heard, it was in May, I had the chance to chat with Amy a little bit, and she was sharing with me the story about Stella Blue High School in Kenya and what Stella's stars are all about. And I just was like, okay, I want people to know about this. I want people to hear this amazing story. And Amy and Stella are so kind to jump on and do this with me live today, because I knew that I couldn't tell it as well as you could. And it's such a from the heart story of the creation of this amazing thing. So our target is to not take up a ton of your time today, but just a little background for those of you who know nothing about this. Stella Blue, an amazing being that I had the opportunity to meet here in Lincoln, bright soul Stella Blue, is Amy Thone's daughter, who unfortunately was taken away from us too soon by a really fast cancer that ended her life here on Earth in February of 2020. And so the way this is going to go is Amy's going to tell us a little bit about her sweet daughter, Stella Blue. And then Selah will share with you a few minutes about her friendship with Stella and how this all started with the request for shoes. So Amy, you want to take it away from here?
Sure. Can you guys?
And then we'll show you a video. Sorry, we're going to show you a little video.
The vide's the coolest part. Not that Amy's intro wasn't brilliant. It was
Cool. Oh yeah.
the video is awesome. Yeah, it's all mixed up with the pandemic because Stella and I, probably for pretty understandable reasons, have trouble with the word died, and it's just it crashes into me too hard. So I say reorganized or transitioned, but my daughter transitioned right as the pandemic started. So it has been a pretty wild and woolly trip since February of 2020. Stella was diagnosed with an incredibly intense, very rare form of cancer in April of 2019. She had been sick prior to that, and we had heard from multiple doctors that she had a sinus infection. And finally, we couldn't solve this sinus infection, and so we ended up just kind of on alert going to the Seattle Children's Hospital one day on a Saturday when we didn't have anything to do. And I said to Stella, we're going to be there for about 2 hours because waiting rooms are slow, and then we're going to go get her nails done. And we left 10 days later, and we had shaved her head, and she was already really sick from chemotherapy. And I think now back to that time, and they were telling me that Stella was not going to make it. But of course, as a parent, you don't listen to that. So we struggled really hard for 10 months, but we live in a world of 7 billion, and Stella had a cancer that 350 people in the world have. So that's, I always said she was 1 in a million, but I've discovered she's more than like 1 in 100 million. And she always did things fast, and so she had to reorganize quickly, bless her heart. So it was a pretty heart-wrenching year. And the way that, I've continued to try to stay in this world is that I keep thinking about being Stella's feet on the street. And Stella, like all kids, kids are born with so much natural empathy and compassion. And also a lot of, Stella would say, oh, give that person money, give that person money, and I'd be like, okay, at some point we have to stop giving people money because they're so unrealistic. But, their empathy and their love and their excitement knows no bounds. And Stella was very interested in the people that we see here on the street in Seattle and always wanted to talk about mental illness. And just had a lot of that bountiful care for fellow humans. And she loved going to school. And she was astonished when, at one point, in relationship to our dear friend Selah, who you'll hear from in a second, when I told her that there were many, many kids, hundreds of thousands, millions of children in the world who did not have access to school. And Selah was astonished by that. I think she was 7 or 8, and she was like, "What? What does that mean?" And I said, "Well, they don't have schools." So she was always very interested in that possibility and how you support people around the world, children, in going to school. So that was also one of her pet projects, as was, the coral reefs, as was the sea, et cetera, et cetera. She had a long list of concerns.
Feeding the world.
Yeah, and she was very excited to be in the world, wild and fast. And I know that she is vibrating around us. I call her my global cosmonaut. And I know that she's very excited about any ways that we can connect with other human beings, that we can support global education, that we can reduce poverty, that we can look at the wealth distribution, misdistribution in this world. And these were things that, as an 11 or 12-year-old, even though she was wild and funny and silly and mostly wanted to goof around, she would occasionally just settle. The hummingbird would settle, and she wanted to have really thoughtful conversations about death, and about the way we take care of each other, and the way we don't take care of each other as humans. So this is a really natural project, and it's exciting to me, it's exciting to her, and it's how I've managed to stay in the world, is to be Stella's feet on the street in a variety of ways, and this is a huge way. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And now I'll pass on to you, Selah, okay?
Okay. So Stella, I've known Amy for, I think they're almost 30 years now. And I was lucky enough to be able to be at the birth of both her daughters. And in about, I think it was in 2017, I was doing some transitioning of my own here on this earth, and ended up living with Amy and Hans for quite a long time, and became very, very good friends with Stella, who was at that time 12 or 11 when I moved in, and then 12 when I moved out. But we became very tight. I picked her up at school. We sang a lot in the car. We just became really, really close buddies. And during that period of time, I was working for an organization called Star of Hope, which I had founded with some friends of mine in 2009. I had these two friends, and they reached out at Christmas one year and said, "Hey, a friend of ours in Kenya is trying to educate and house these 34 orphans in his village, and they need some shoes." So he reached out to us, and we decided that instead of Christmas gifts this year, we're going to go ahead and send them money to try to buy some shoes. And I said, "Ooh, that sounds like a good idea. I'm going to do that too." And so we did that. And we ended up raising enough money to buy all the kids' shoes, with enough left over for a Christmas feast, which they don't usually get. And Leonard, who is the teacher and the friend over there, he sent us pictures of the kids with their shoes and with their Christmas lollipops, and we were hooked. And we started a nonprofit, and we began to raise money to build a primary school. And originally it was just for those 34 kids, but it has grown and grown, and it now has those 34 kids, some of whom are in high school now. And then it also, at this point, we have a full 8-classroom school, and there's 200 kids, because it includes the village kids who would not be going to school if this school was not there, because it is a tuition-free school. So they have a dormitory, they have a dining hall, and they have water storage units, and we were able to build a well. And I was with them for a really, really long time. During that process, the kids started to graduate. Before I get to the graduation, so we would have this event every year for the school. It's called Star of Hope, called Dancing for the Stars. And Stella would help me get together and do stuff for the event. One year we decided to ship a bunch of stuff to the school, toys for the kids. Stella and I went shopping. She found these wonderful little star sunglasses, and so we bought 190 pairs of star sunglasses, and sat on my floor and packed little goodie bags with glasses and pencils and erasers and candy. And she would do things like that for me. She would drag her parents to our event every year. She would talk her parents into buying auction items, and I think she talked Kathy Quinzer into buying some auction items, and so she was a really good advocate for us. But the kids started to grow, and they started to graduate, and Star of Hope was really just basically a primary school, and they weren't really sure what to do. And we're all nonprofit. It's a nonprofit, but we're all volunteers, and the other 4 people on the board with me were like, we don't have the bandwidth to even think about high school. And that bothered me for a long time. And I knew Leonard was concerned about it, because if they don't have access to money to go to high school, they don't go to high school. So we were going to get them to 8th grade, but we weren't going to get them past 8th grade. And it bothered me. And Stella and I used to have a lot of conversations about it, what to do. And I hemmed and hawed. And then when Stella transitioned, as a way for me to deal with my grief, I decided, to step off the Star of Hope board, reach out to some friends, and start a new organization and do it in her honor, called Stella Stars. So I reached out to some friends. We formed our own nonprofit. We started fundraising in 2021. And in May of 2022, this year, the school officially opened. We were able to build the school in a year. And we have classes 9, 10, and 11 in school right now. So our goal, and why we wanted to share this with you, is to reach out to people to find ways to keep growing, to continue to build our operational budget, which is $2,500 a month. And to go forward, our goals are to build a soccer field so the kids have recreation, and long-term to include a vocational curriculum, so that the kids, if they aren't going to school or going on to college, they will also have a vocation that they can make money.
Wow.
The village that they live in is pretty poor. So, and that's my story.
We're going to open it up after the video for Q&A, but just to set this up a little further, Stella, there was something that that you mentioned to me in conversations that we had prior to this event, that even though technically school is free, it's not free. Do you want to say something about that so that it frames it up for people?
So Kenya applauds itself in saying that it is that they don't charge tuition for schools in the country. But the truth is they don't charge tuition for the school, but they charge a fee for uniforms, which are mandatory. And then the child has to pay for all their own supplies: pencils, pens, books, paper, food, anything that it costs to go to school, transportation to get there if it's not in their village. So it ends up being very prohibitive to families that don't have any money. So what ends up happening is they are not allowed to go to class until they are able to pay that fee. And so they may be enrolled in a school, but they can't actually go to school. Our schools are tuition free. They do not have fees. They don't pay for any fees. They don't pay for their uniforms. They don't pay for their supplies. It's all provided. And we give them, for the 34 that live there, we provide 3 meals a day, 7 days a week. And for the village kids, we provide 2 meals a day, 6 days a week.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. That is fabulous. And are we ready for the video?
Yeah.
All righty. We are kicking right along. Look at this. We said we would, and we are. Okay, here we go. You hear it?
Hi, this is Leonard Mielele, a director of Star of Hope. Already we broke the ground to do the high school classrooms. Something else that excites us, we received support from you to pipe the water from our current main campus. And now we have 2 places where it's the only places in the entire village that has piped water. That is such an incredible thing which our villagers never imagined. Hi, this is Stella Blue coming, and soon we're gonna have our roof on. We'll do a flat roof. Hi there. Yes, I'm with some of our cohorts of Stella Blue. We were very much hoping to start our classes from this property, but we had some technical hitches concerning the kind of roof that we want to place on this building. But now it has sorted out, and this didn't hinder us from starting. So our classes have started from the other end on a temporary basis. I wanted you to just have a feel of our inside of a huge, spacious science room.
Oh, how lovely. Oh my gosh, I love that video. And it does still say coming soon. There is a new video in process that talks about both schools. And as they mentioned, it is open and running, and it's just really quite amazing. And it's so fun to see this video after the conversations with you, with both of you about it, and knowing that, you know, there's also a language, not barrier, but a language difference to deal with in all the communications that go back and forth, and the creation of the video, and just hearing his accent and the way he talks about everything. It's really fun. You feel like you're there for a little bit. So that's awesome. Okay, so
I think this is the time where if anybody, and I know we're a very small group, it's a very small group, but and hopefully it will have, you know, it will have ripples out, and we can share this video. We should be sure, Aim, that we share this video so that people can send it to people on their email list if they want to. But are there any questions from this very powerful, very small group?
Joe?
When you said $2,500 a month, is that just for the high school, or is that for the whole system?
Just for the
Because
high
that's-
school.
Okay,
So the two systems are now two totally different nonprofit organizations. So Starve Hope. In Kenya, they consider themselves one education center. So they have, and it's called the Starve Hope Education Center. The primary school is called Starve Hope, and then the high school is called Stella Blue Campus, or Stella Blue High School. And our group, Stella Stars, raises money just for the high school. Although we work in conjunction with Starve Hope, we consider them our sister organization. We help them with the dormitory, the cost of the dormitories. We help with the food. We contribute. We pay for a nurse. We were able to hire a nurse with a donation from one of Stella's classmates' parents. And Starve Hope and Stella Stars work together to support the medical supplies, which are $200 a month. So that $2,500 a month goes to our share of the food in the dorms, our teachers' salaries. We have 6 teachers right now. We pay them, get this, $150 a month, which is not, it's high for their area. It still doesn't reach the standard in Kenya is 200 a month. But if you can imagine, but for them to have that money coming in consistently is quite good and quite unheard of in that area. So, and then food and supplies, books, uniforms, pencils, pens, things like that.
Selah, where did the teachers come from?
Leonard puts out advertisements in the community. Some kids, some people have managed to get away and go get educated and will come back sometimes to help, or sometimes he will recruit from neighboring cities. They're a village, Chebukui is a village, but there are cities close by. Leonard and his wife and family live in Bungoma, which is the closest city to Chebukui. It's about an hour-and-a-half drive. Well, I think they have freeways now. I was there in 2011. It was all unpaved. So it took us an hour and a half to get there. I think they've paved the road since, so they cut it down to an hour drive.
So Leonard drives back and forth every day?
Not every day, but most days, yeah. And then they built a little guest house there. So a lot of times they'll stay in the guest house if they're going to be there for longer periods of time. And where people who come to visit can stay.
Well, I love hearing about how it's lifted up, even, creating jobs within the community.
Absolutely. So Amy Fleetwood, who just asked a question, I'm sorry, is a donor right now, actually. So I just wanted to check in with her and see how it feels to see all of that and to know that you're a part of it.
And yeah, I mean, and I'm set up, I'm a monthly donor. I give, $50 a month, which, I always thinking like, so, which ends up, so that's something I can do, and it's just really nice, and it just happens automatically every month. So I encourage people to think about that, if that's something they aren't already doing. I was just curious on the $2,500 a month. Is that to maintain things, or does that include the money that you're trying to raise to build the soccer field or the recreational field and things like that?
That's to maintain things. The soccer field, the next phase of building. We also eventually want to build, if we can raise the money, a second story on the school, which will also be the only building in the area that has a second story. All the buildings in that area are single story. The bricks are made by hand still. And you may have noticed a little bit in that video, everything was done by hand. They broke the ground by hand. They pour the cement, they put in the steel, whatever those are called, bars.
Rebar.
Rebar. And everything's done by hand. They'll rent equipment sometimes like tractors or things like that, but for the most part, it's done by hand. So we'll need to raise more money for the second story. So that is just food, food, supplies, teacher salary. And right now we're also supporting paying for the nurse and medical supplies.
And can I ask one more question? I'm asking too many questions, maybe.
Not at all.
Do you have a set figure? I'm just thinking about ways in which people give. And sometimes people are happy to give sort of a constant amount that's used in whatever ways. And some people get excited about giving to a particular something, like, I want to give money to help make this the recreational field. How much do you need to raise to add some of these additional things on? Or do you know yet?
I don't know yet. I know that one of the things we want to do is build the field. We'd like that to be a goal soon. It's going to cost a little more than you would think, just because they have to level out the ground a little bit, and then we have to buy the supplies, and you want to make sure that you have consistent money because the balls are going to go missing, or they're going to get destroyed.
Right. They do what balls do. Yeah.
Yes. So I'm thinking it's going to be somewhere between 3,000 and 500 as a one-time project for.
Did you mean 3,000 and 5,000?
Between 3,000 to 5,000. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Sure. The monthly donations go into helping us with our operating costs. We just count on that money. I think we have about 25 people that are monthly donors.
So what a fun target to get to, where you can get to that operating budget.
Get to 100. Yeah,
and then
get to
also
100.
as you receive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even if you think about it as only 100 people at $25 a month, it just feels like nothing. So surely we know people who waste more money than that on coffee and snacks. Oops, that's just me.
I'm one of those people, so I know.
Any other questions?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, hi, Julie.
Hi everybody. Just want to hi honey. God bless you. I heard you sneeze. Just want to say a couple of things. First of all, how amazing what it is you're doing, and the video was just beautiful, and it means so much to hear you all talk about the organization, and just to reinforce what Amy was talking about with donors just loving a thing that they know they're contributing this dollar amount to this particular
I agree.
portion. It's like I have just found that it suddenly raises a ton of money very quickly when you do that. It's like if you can do 250 for the soccer field, right? Or whatever, and use it how you need to use it. But I just want to reinforce what Amy said. The other thing, though, that I wanted to ask you is if you are a person who's not in a position to be financially helpful right now, what are other things that we can do that will help the organization so that when I do have some money, I'm able to throw it your way? What can I do now?
Really good question. Thank you. I think the best thing you can do is exactly what we're doing right now, which is to spread the word, because we want to try to get as many people at least to know that we're there, sort of do the 100th monkey sort of thing, get just spread it out, get the word out, because the more we get the word out, the more people it becomes a part of their consciousness. So right now, helping us come up with ways, events that you might be able to help us do or participate in. Amy and I are going to try to come up with some in-person events at some point that we would like to do. I keep trying to talk her into producing a play where all of the proceeds go to us, but she's very picky because she wants it to be perfect, but we're going to do it. But anything like that will help us spread the word.
Absolutely. And Amy, I think that's a wonderful idea, and I can help you with producing something, because it doesn't have to be a play. It can be performances of other kinds.
No, totally. I think that's a great idea. I think like a variety moment would be lovely.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, please. Oh, please. We can make that happen. Watch,
For sure.
Just watch.
Okay.
Amy's going to kill me now.
Can I ask another question?
Absolutely.
So I'm just thinking about, how does it work in Kenya, where you have all sorts of small villages without schools, and then in this one particular village you create a school? How does that
Affect the balance of power?
what's that?
Affect sort of the balance? Is that what you're
Yeah, or
talking
just I'm just curious to know, or what people are able to, so these students then who are getting educations, where then are they able to go with that? How does that spread out into their own lives and into the lives of the people around them in Kenya?
My belief, and we don't know yet because we haven't had a class graduate from high school.
Yeah.
And I've actually told everybody I know that if I start talking about building a college, that they're all allowed to shoot me. But I don't know the answer to what will happen. All I know is that your chances of breaking the cycle of poverty are much better if you're educated.
Mm-hmm. So
regardless of whether we know for sure what will happen once they graduate high school, their chances are better. Leonard, now Kenya is also a country that still believes in polygamy. And Leonard is one of 25 children from 3 separate wives. He's the only child that was able to go to college that his father was able to send to college. He has brothers and sisters that have since gone, but not through their father. But they all come back to the village. A lot of them come back to the village. So what we are hoping is that we will educate enough kids that they will be able to perhaps get scholarships into colleges, or somehow have enough of it, and also because we want to do a vocation aspect to our curriculum, that they will be able to take a trade and go somewhere where they might be able to pay for their own college, and to go from there. So we are hoping that we are going to spread out just by simply by virtue of that we are educating and creating a more literate population in the village.
Thank you.
Awesome. I think we have hit our target of 30 minutes and gotten all the information we were really hoping to share. I will be sending out this video and the links to donate. It is stellasstars.org. Isn't that correct? We didn't put it in the
Stellas
chat.
Stars High School.
Stellas Stars High
I'll write it
School.
on the chat.
Yep, go ahead and put that in the chat with the HTTP in front of it so it's clickable. But I'll send it in the email within the hour. So stellasstarshighschool.org. And there's a donate button, which you can do a monthly or a one-time donation, I believe, from when I was clicking on it.
Yes.
And I love what one of my friends that I reached out to that I had invited said, I already support the organization. And I just, when I got that message, I just went, support, just like wrapping fluffy pillows around the school. That was just so lovely the way our friend said that. And it feels really nice to give that, to be the fluffy pillows for Stella Stars. So thank you, everybody. The
other thing I also just want to, is 100% of the donations go to the kids. It's all a volunteer run organization. Nobody gets any money for it. So it all goes there, and
it's a 501c3, right, Say?
Correct. So you
So
can,
it's totally
and I have been there, and so I have seen where our dollars go, and I trust Leonard. And Leonard, we've brought him out here a couple times, and will again in the future. And he is my hero. I absolutely love that man. So
thank you guys for coming, and please share
so
this
much.
information, and feel free to hit any of us with questions. Thanks so much.
Absolutely.
Love you
Great
guys.
information.
you.
Thank you.
Can I